She is the editor-at-large at Recode, host of the podcast Recode Decode, and contributing opinion writer for the New York Times, Kara Swisher. Hey. Great to meet you. How you doing?
Good.
Thank you for being here. You do a hell of a job.
Thank you.
Keeping the tech sector honest.
Yeah.
And I read this week that they, Facebook and Twitter, I guess, removed a lot of fake accounts that were put there.
Finally.
Okay, so this is a layman's question. I am not very tech savvy. I get
All right.
a lot of my knowledge from you. But, you know, you need ID to buy groceries.
Yes, you do.
We know that. Why don't you need ID to prove who you really are on Facebook or Twitter?
Because it wouldn't make them so many billions of dollars, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's a really problematic...
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason, is that this has been a thing that's been built from the beginning to operate the way it does, which is to do growth at all costs, and also take away your data privacy from you. And that's what it does.
So there's no way we can shame them into doing the right thing?
Well,
We're under attack. The country's under attack.
Yeah.
This is the modern way of warfare.
You know,
it's not artillery anymore from Russia.
Yeah, I wrote a column in the Times talking about this idea of values and standards and the fact that they had to get some. They had to have them. But what I thought was, I did a podcast just recently with Mark Zuckerberg, and one of the things when we talked about it was the idea of what was going on and whether he had responsibility for the platform. A lot of these people don't feel like they have responsibility.
He doesn't?
Well, it's a weird thing. They do now. If you notice when he was in Congress, he said, we have a broader responsibility. And my question when he was saying that to all those various politicians was, why didn't he have it in the first place? Why didn't they start by building these things so that they would be, that they would evolve in a way that kept pace with humanities? And what I realized when I was talking to him was that he didn't take humanities in college because he didn't finish college and instead became a billionaire. So that they don't have a great sense of the impact of the things they built.
Well, also, I think we've romanticized nerds.
Yes, we have.
You know, back when I was in college, nerd was a bad word.
Right.
And then it became, though, this cute thing.
Right.
You know, hot girls like to say, I'm a nerd. No, you're not. You know, it's not really always a good thing. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sorry, but that is a real nerd. He looks awful.
Right, yeah.
His clothes are terrible. He's awkward. I mean, Bill Gates looks like Cary Grant. Really.
Right.
You know, and
I wouldn't agree
that's
with
not
that.
bad. I'm just saying he's on this spectrum of dweebiness that I don't think.
All right, now.
No, I just.
Hey, now, Bill.
What?
You shouldn't insult his looks. You can insult his entire service and the way it's ruined democracy, but please don't insult his looks.
He's not watching. You know, that's my thing. If they're not watching...
I know, you're going to say they plug him in at night and he's in the closet.
No, but I'm just saying, when people are nerds, I think they just have, you know, that's what part of nerdiness is. You have trouble relating to humanity, and I don't think they very often have a great sense of humor.
Yeah, it's called an EQ. They don't have an EQ kind of thing.
Right.
What I think it is that they don't... I try to talk to them in the language they talk to, so I often try to use, like, Marvel comics and various things like that. What I like to do is this idea, which is actually a Voltaire quote, but I don't bring that into discussion with them, which is, with great power comes great responsibility, which was Peter Parker's uncle. And so I keep saying to them, I said, you have abrogated your responsibility when you built these things, and the way you built them made them so they would operate this way. And so when you think about it, these sites were not hacked by the Russians. They were used exactly as they were built.
Right.
There was no hacking going on. The Russians just walked right in and did them.
So
now they're finding them. Now they're finding them.
But companies never just do the right thing because you ask them. You have to find them. You have to threaten them. You have to regulate them.
But did you watch those hearings? There's more coming up. But did you watch it? How do you think Mark did?
Well, you don't make me talk about Mark Zuckerberg again because
No, but I mean all of them. They're all coming there. What happens is it's an incredibly low bar because politicians are absolutely brain dead when it comes to tech, essentially. Right. And so what they do is they ask questions. During that particular hearing, it was about terms of service. It was as if terms of service were the biggest national security crisis of our time. Like that you can't read them, that they're super confusing.
But didn't Facebook start out as something very sexist? Wasn't it? I'm getting this from
the movie. The movie. Don't go with the movie.
It wasn't something where they were just rating the women at Harvard?
That was one of his sites, yes. It was sort of a hot or not kind of thing, yeah.
Well, that's horrible.
Yeah, but that wasn't what Facebook was then. That was his first thing. We don't want to be judged by our first things, Bill.
That did. Come on, what was my first?
Just me. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about
Okay.
No, but I think the thing you have to think about is when you think about responsibility, they don't think there's consequences. So they don't think about the consequences of what they created and what they invented. And one of the Facebook's biggest things that were on the walls, if you go to Facebook headquarters, first of all, all these headquarters are built as if they're for 12-year-old boys, essentially, all kinds of slides and things like that. And on the wall, one time they asked me to go down a slide, and I'm like, I'm not going down your fucking slide. and I was like, I didn't like it when I was 8 years old, so I'm not going to like it now. But they have on the wall, they have this thing that said, move fast and break things. I think you've all seen that. It's the move fast, and they were all excited about move fast and break things. And when you think about it, you go, well, you've broken a lot of things, now what are you going to fix? But their mentality was that.
Right.
Break things.
Break things.
Yeah. So they broke democracy, but okay.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. I mean, they're part of it. I mean, all the things we were talking about before, what Donald Trump is doing, these are part of that. But what social media does is it amplifies, and what I said in the Times was that it weaponizes everything. It weaponizes the First Amendment, it weaponizes social media, it weaponizes social discourse, and it creates and it weaponizes discord, and that's the problem. And that's what the Russians took advantage of.